We are live.
There we go. There's my pre-live stream music.
Welcome everyone to DeFi Standard. You got Mickey B. Fresh here, and I got with me...
Yeah, PattyXRP. How's everyone doing?
Oh, we're doing good. So, exciting day. Glad to see some of you here from Netherlands, from Europe. So, we got a nice afternoon live stream today. A little change up from what we usually do, which is in the evenings. Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know, come June, we're going to be doing a lot more live streams, like pretty much on a daily basis, especially leading up to the Flare network launch. So we usually do 2 to 3 a week now through May, but starting pretty much June 1st, we'll be doing one every day. And we'll try to do in the afternoons so that we could get everybody from Europe, from the West Coast, East Coast. You know, Australia is a tough one. Those are good for the evening ones, I know, because then it's morning there. So what's going on today, Patty?
Not too much. I'm enjoying having a half day of work, so it gave us a good time to do this in the afternoon today. I found it pretty interesting. I saw, Twitter got up in a stir today over 10 billion XRP missing from, the circulating supply on CoinmarketCap, or, as we like to say, CoinmarketCrap. But, just for some context with everybody, in the last bull run in 2017, CoinmarketCap was cutting out Korean exchange volume for XRP. They also don't count the total minted supply of XRP as part of the, in the market cap calculation. So, I don't really find them particularly trustworthy. Either they're having a glitch or it just, they dropped it off their system for some reason. Who knows why? But, we still have like the XRPL charts are showing that there's, 46 billion circulating supply of XRP. CoinGecko shows the same thing. So I don't think anything, conspiratorial or some theories are going on. Very much it just looks like a data glitch, or they decide to drop it for whatever reason. So I wouldn't look too much into that.
Yeah, I agree. So especially with everything that went on in 2017 with CoinmarketCrap, and them bringing down the price from the Korean markets, not including that volume. And now think if Binance is owning CoinmarketCrap and BNB is in the place right above it, let's just shave off 10 billion. I mean, that's the logical thing. All the other ones that I checked out, all the other metrics, CoinGecko, all show 46 billion. Ripple doesn't have 10 billion to just like take and do whatever with. So I don't know how 10 billion could disappear. Doesn't seem possible. It's really not something that I would focus on. I know there's some crazy conspiracy theories, typical baseless ones, but we're not even going to address that. This is a good question here. So what is the best thing for a post-January 2021 XRP buyer to do as far as Flare Spark is concerned? Just be ready for it to go live. So I'll throw a little something in here. You want to be ready for it to go live. I mean, your options are when it goes live, the Spark trading will be live. So then if you would like to, you can buy some. And then as you buy some, you delegate the votes to earn more Spark. So that's the best thing you could hope for now. And then there's another question here.
Can I add on to that? Also, like you're going to be able to earn Spark by minting your FXRP once the F asset system goes live. So that'll be like maybe a week or two after the Flare mainnet launches. And that's an excellent opportunity to earn Spark, especially in the early going before, a bunch of values brought on and you have a much larger percentage of the F asset value minted. So you're going to be earning more Spark rewards. Also interesting to note is that the Spark rewards from the FLTC and F asset, the general F asset pools, is going to decrease each day. So like the first day is going to offer the largest, single day reward. And then just by a little amount, it'll decrease each day. But yeah, that's just something else to add in there.
Yeah, no, that is good. That is definitely another way to earn more Spark. So here was another one regarding Binance US. So where was it? Andy N asks, he goes, I have a question about the distribution of Spark tokens on Binance. This is just Binance US, is my understanding. Do I have to claim my Spark address from Binance before June 11th, or the exchange do it for me? So I'm not sure the exact process with Binance US, but I do know that the initial, on the snapshot date, your XRP was held in a Binance US wallet. It was their wallet. So the Spark is going to be distributed to them, and then it will have to be sent to wherever they want you. If they want you to create a Flare address, then it will be sent there. But it would be Binance US's still responsibility. It's not going to come straight from Flare Network, because on the snapshot date, you are inside of their wallet and their XRP account. You don't have your own XRP account when you're on an exchange. You're part of the exchanges. So they would have to distribute it out to you. So I would just follow with what Binance, this is my understanding, it's only Binance US, this is the situation. If it's a regular Binance, I believe they'll just airdrop it to you. But I would check with Binance US and exactly what you have to do. Follow their directions. All right, and press them for details, because it's just there's no reason why they should be doing that, but it really doesn't matter to you. Then you get to create a self-custody wallet and they send it to you.
Yeah, and also on that note, Flare Network has an official Telegram channel where they have several mods in there that know all like the perfect answers or the best answers for all those kind of questions, especially regarding getting your airdrop. And I know they have some directions for people that are receiving it through Binance and Binance US. So I would definitely check that out, and I'll drop a link to it in the chat in a second.
Yeah, no, Flare Telegram is very good for that, especially when it comes to those type of questions. All right, let's move on. So I guess we could talk about, here's another good one. Logan711, to mint F assets, it costs 5%. Does it also cost 5% to swap back to the native tokens, such as FXRP back to XRP? No. So it only costs 5% to mint the FXRP. To go back, I think it's like 0.01% or 0.1%. It's very low, is the redeeming percentage. So it's very low. And remember, that 5% is going to those people who have Spark staked in the F asset system. So by staking your Spark in the F asset system, you're earning those fees that others are paying while they're minting FXRP. So it's just something to keep in mind. You might be paying yourself a percentage of, but it's not direct. It's a dynamic system.
Yeah, and then also I see Edwin says, what is the rewards going to look like for using your Spark daily, weekly, monthly? So You're going to be getting daily rewards at, at minimum for, if you're holding an F asset, more than likely it's going to be once a day, it seems like. But as far as delegating your detachable Spark vote to be used in the FTSO, it's, TBD on if that's going to be airdropped to you daily or multiple times per day, but it's definitely going to be once per day.
I think he's talking about the staking of Spark, I think.
Why? So that's going to be dependent on as new F asset values minted. So, if there's no new F asset value minted in a single day, which, I feel like that'll be hard to believe that happening, then technically you wouldn't get paid out on that day. So it's going to be dependent on how much value is moving onto the network and how often that's happening.
Good answer. All right. So Danny Matos asks, will I be able to delegate from my Zum wallet? So your Zum wallet is an XRP wallet. So I don't know. I think it's doubtful that you'll be able to do it from there because it's not connected to the Flare network. But, we don't know exactly how the integration is going to work with Flare. So it is possible. So I don't want to say never, because it might be possible. I would kind of wait and see on that. But most likely you're going to have to do it from a Spark wallet. Because your Spark's not going to be able to be held in a Zum wallet. So you need a Flare or a Spark account for that. So no, you wouldn't be able to use the Zum wallet for Spark.
So also, I see Dennis Hossman asked, can Flare Mutual be used to ensure the minted FXRP? So it actually doesn't have to be. So I love this question. So the way that the F asset system is set up, if there was a default on your FXRP position, then you are going to automatically be paid out fully in Spark plus like an extra 1% or so for trading fees and everything. So you don't need to particularly you would lose that FXRP, but you can just go and use that Spark to swap it back to FXRP once you receive it. So, I mean, that's kind of like the part of the system being trustless and dynamic to where, you can feel safe in minting your assets and not losing that value. Now, you may if there's a default that would, you lose your FXRP, but you're going to be paid out fully in Spark for that value. And the FTSO is updating, every couple of seconds. So, there's not going to be a situation where a default would happen because of, 100% price move in 1 second. That's just very unrealistic. So you can feel pretty safe about maintaining that value you have with that Spark that's used to pay you out in the worst case scenario, basically.
In the worst case. And the first case, if the claim isn't honored, then the next agent takes it over because then they take over that 2.5 times collateral. We are not discussing tax implications on this stream. All right. Yeah. So please, no questions on that. I don't even want to go near it. But anyways, I'm the only one thing I'm going to say on the taxes is you have a claim to your entire, you have the ownership and the claim to the entire allocation of your Spark, not just the 15%, the whole thing is owned by you if it's dropped to your self-custody wallet. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right, because I know there's a lot of misinformation. But direct tax things, you got to talk to a tax accountant. All right, so does the new Flare address you create on your ledger to claim Spark before June 11th has to be the same ledger wallet that your XRP was on December 12th from the snapshot? Does the Flare new address you create on your ledger claim to be the same? You put it in the message key, right, Patty?
Yeah, it has to do with that Ethereum pointer on where it's going to go. I honestly,
I'm kind of confused on that question too. Maybe Crypto King just maybe.
I mean, for that kind of question, that's definitely a great place to go into the Flare Telegram. The mods there are really good at answering those super technical questions on the airdrop.
All right, so here's a good one. Where was that one with the? Hold on, where is it? Is Gala going to be an F asset, Patty?
Yeah, so Gala is not going to be an F asset. At least right now, what it looks like to us is that it's going to be native tokens of blockchains that are going to be F assets. Now, what can happen is they can issue what they're doing is they're going to issue Gala on the Flare network instead of issuing it on the Ethereum network. So, it kind of still maintains that same ERC20 standard, but it's going to be issued on top of the Flare network. And then they'll just burn that Gala that was on Ethereum when it's issued onto the Flare network. So it'll be like you could liken it to a token like YFlare or YFin are going to be, something along those lines. And, there's possibilities for them providing, product offerings on Flare Finance where you can use your Gala. If there's value in it and there's liquidity, then I don't see why they wouldn't want to incorporate that, because it's just going to bring more volume and liquidity to the products on Flare Finance.
Yes, good answer. All right, so if you stake, chat just jumped. If you stake all your Spark and the value drops, will you get liquidated, or can other agents help you refill the collateral? All right, so Raspberry Pi, you are not staking the Spark to cover your F assets. You're just putting in the Spark into a dynamic pool as collateral, right? So you can't get liquidated. There's really no liquidation there, right, Patty?
Yeah, so I mean, there's incentives. So like if you're providing your Spark as collateral and you're whatever through an agent and they default on the position, it's possible you could lose some of that Spark. That's the risk there. However, they do have incentives for other agents to come in and refill an under collateralized position that can help with that. So that is part of the whole like F asset system mechanism, and that's part of it being dynamic. So like when people are minting FXRP, you're not just going to be locked in with one agent. It's going to be, a whole pool of agents that are providing the collateral for that specific position. Yeah.
So Lemire Lotson asks, wouldn't it be beneficial to buy as much Spark as possible on the open market to delegate it within the Flare network in addition to the drop? So, I mean, I wouldn't... It's up to you, and depending how much you want to buy. Like, I'm looking to buy some. That's just my situation, and it's not financial advice. Depending on, we got to look at where's XRP's price. If XRP is $10, you might want to take a little profits there, and then you could use some of those to buy Spark. If XRP is down to 70 cents, then maybe you're not going to want to do that. Or do you want to take fresh fiat and buy Spark? That's another thing. So you do want to delegate as much Spark as you can. Delegate the votes for as much Spark as you could accumulate as possible to earn more Spark. Since it comes with yield, Spark is just natively something that comes with yield at no risk. So you delegate those votes at no risk and earn daily Spark with that. Something you don't get with XRP, you don't get with Bitcoin, you don't get with Ethereum, you don't get with any other asset, really. I mean, you literally have to then stake them in proof of stake. With Flare, you could stake and delegate simultaneously to earn Spark and then those underlying F assets.
And I just saw
a question.
You want to take that? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go. You go first.
Okay, yeah. So I see Walt Gardner said, he goes, if the agent runs off with the FXRP ... Well, technically the agent can't run off with the FXRP because they're not custodying it. Now they do have your XRP, and yes, they can run off with it if they want. That would, if you go back to redeem and they don't have it there, that would be considered a redemption default. However, the way the system is set up, they would lose so much of their Spark that's posted as collateral that it would be a net loss for them regardless of whatever price that XRP is at. So even if XRP just takes off a ton in the matter of a couple of days and they think that it's beneficial for them to run off with it, they're going to lose so much money in Spark that it would no longer make sense for them to do that financially. So that's something that I wouldn't particularly worry about. Also, you're going to get paid out fully in Spark in that situation, so you're not losing the value, and you can just swap back into the position you had with FXRP by going over to like the Flare X decentralized exchange or something.
I think even before that happens, another agent would just take over the position and give you your XRP back while they take over the 2.5 times Spark collateral, because that's what incentivizes them to do that. So what Patty's explaining there is if something like that didn't happen, and the last resort is then they pay you out in Spark. But that's like the last resort. The whole point of the system is it's trustless. So it's more trustless than wrapping your token with like bringing it onto Ethereum. It's more trustless. You don't need insurance for that. That'd be like saying I need insurance to send my XRP to Coinbase. I mean, that's kind of the concept. You're just trusting the protocol and the F asset system itself. There's really nobody custodying. They're just a claim on your Spark. All right. So on Telegram, Sevorg says, on Telegram, Matt Rosenden is contemplating putting certain aspects of the Trustline Stablecoin up for a vote to the community, like the pronunciation and the meaning of aure. I like that. That's pretty cool. I mean, those are just like basic. I mean, they're not super important things, but they just give character kind of to the thing. Did you hear about that, Patty? That's new to me.
Yeah. I saw him posting about that in the Telegram earlier. And so I guess the correct pronunciation is or. So OR and then like Ray. That's how you would pronounce it. You know, he put up, I forget what the story was, but there's a story about like, you know, that word essentially and how he got it there. I know like we've been saying RA, so we need to, you know, work on our pronunciation a little bit, but I kind of like the ore, kind of has like a little extra glow to it.
Ore. Yeah, that's a cool one. All right, so JVS, will Ledger Live support the Flare app? So we're not sure if Ledger Live will, but Toho Labs is building an app integration for Ledger that will support the Flare app. So you're covered there. That's all covered by Toho Labs is building that. So I wouldn't worry. If you have it on Ledger, you should be good to go. Soupbone says, can I keep my XRP on Ledger and stake for FXRP? That would kind of imply to go through the Flare app then. So there should be a Flare app that should allow you to connect your Ledger then to that Flare app, like what JV is asking here. All right. It's just not out yet, so we can't like explain it or show you exactly what it looks like because it's not available yet. But Toho Labs says they're building it. Yeah. Oh, and then Proppy. That was Tony from Thinking Crypto interviewed the woman from Proppy.
I have not seen that yet.
I haven't
that
either,
looks interesting. I know there's some speculation about Proppy coming to Flare, right? Was that Flare community that digged that up? Yeah,
Flare community digged it up. Hugo is following the Proppy, which makes kind of sense. That project kind of went quiet. And it's really not trading anywhere. It looks like it's ready for a reboot. And Flare would be the ideal place. So I didn't see Tony's interview yet, and he does great interviews. So I gotta check that out later on tonight.
And I saw
real estate. I mean, that's definitely going to be, I think, a big industry on blockchain.
I mean, what is that one firm that's already looking to do tokenized real estate on Flare? I can't remember their name off the top of my head. Something like Stonegate, maybe. Does that sound right? In one of the original blogs, they talked about it. So that's definitely one of the use cases they're looking at on Flare. And I see, so Shep Soldier here said, can you mint F assets with no initial Spark? So yeah, if you're not getting the Spark airdrop, absolutely, you cannot put up Spark for your own F asset position. So like anybody that has XRP, XLM, Litecoin, or Doge, they can mint without having any Spark. And even if you have Spark, you can't put it up for your own position. That's part of it being dynamic. And if that was the case, you know, I think the system would be a lot more risky if you just had a bunch of individuals managing their own collateral as well. Yeah. So the idea is to have the least amount of defaults possible, so that will keep the system healthy and robust.
So JK brings up a big point here. This is definitely, I think this way too. It seems like the system would work best if Flare and XRP was close in price. So I would say close in correlation to the way they move. They don't necessarily have to be the same price, but they kind of have to move. The more they move in correlation with each other, the more, I think, sound and less risky it is for the system. You know, like if XRP was, say, just for hypothetically speaking, $10, and Flare was $1, just hypothetically speaking. If they move together, like XRP went to like 20, Flare went to 2, that's good. Like the correlation of their prices together is good for the system. If they were opposite, that would be, I think, difficult for the system. Even though I think it would handle it, it's just, I think we're going to see that anyway, that the prices will kind of be correlated. And you know, just because they're attached to each other. It's a utility fork of that, and all the XRP holders are getting the spark. So there's this connection to XRP from the beginning.
So can I add to that? Like, I definitely think 100% that F assets and Spark are going to be very correlated to each other in terms of like price movement. So, you just think about the mechanics of the Flare network. So as the F asset value increases, which means that either more value is being brought on or the price of those assets is going up, then more Spark needs to be posted as collateral. So we're going to have the agents need to go and source Spark off the open market, which is creating demand and also lowering the supply. And then, they do that enough till it comes into an equilibrium and they don't have to add any more Spark. And then the same thing if the F asset prices start going down. Well, now they have Spark that's not doing anything because their position's more collateralized than they would want. So they might start selling some of that Spark since they don't just need to hold it on the books, or they may take it to some other like product within the Flare network ecosystem. Yeah, so I definitely think that's going to happen. And then I see Rob Cormier here asks, any guesses on the percentage of Spark tokens daily drops from F assets? So just based on what we've been looking into, we think it could be anywhere from 20 million to 40 million Spark dropped daily. And then that number is going to, reduce slow, like by a small percentage each day going forward after that. Technically, the F asset pools and the FLTC pool will not ever run out of Spark, as it's a I don't know what you would call the line, but it's the line that on a graph that's always approaching zero but never reaches it. So it'll just get really, really small, like, a few years down the line, unless maybe governance votes to mint more Spark and put it in there or does something like that.
Okay, you just answered the inflationary deflationary question?
No.
Oh, that's a good one.
Where is that one?
That's a good question. I'll start it and then you could finish it. So Arthur Capone asks, is Spark inflationary or deflationary? Very good question, and we got a very good answer here. So it's inflationary, but it's better than being deflationary. Now, how is that possible? So because the inflation rewards are going to those who participate. So unlike Ethereum right now, so for example, last month in Ethereum, 1.5 billion was paid in fees and rewards to Ethereum miners. Where did all that go? Probably dumped back on the market because they have no stake in the ecosystem or development. Where on Flare, the Spark rewards are going to be, it's inflationary, but it's 10% at launch, and that will go to those who delegate their FTSO vote. So if you delegate your vote, you earn those rewards. And as you earn more Spark, you get more votes to delegate. So you're incentivized to hold the Spark and then delegate to earn more. So it comes with this yield, and there's that cycle there. So it incentivizes people to hold. And then if you participate, you earn more. Wherein a network like Ethereum, you have this separate entity out there, the miners, who are earning these rewards, earning these gas fees, and they have nothing to do with what's going on the network. They're there strictly just to secure it. And they're just dumping it back on the market. And now if you go to proof of stake here, okay, that's deflationary. But you know what? You're not utilizing that asset, and you're using it to secure the network, which is a negative. So deflationary isn't always better for the overall value of the actual token. You need to create participation and demand in the networks. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. So you got to think like, why do we as individuals not like inflation in our daily lives? So obviously, like around the world, central banks are printing tons of money. Well, we just get a $1,400 stimulus check, but that's not enough to cover how much is actually being, printed and then given out to, through debt or like bonds and stuff and delivered to really high net worth firms and individuals. So like where our purchasing power is getting diluted in the current system. But if you are a good or beneficial participant in the Flare network by delegating your votes to the FTSO, which is going to be very easy to do, you're just going to have to pick who you want to send them to. You could send your detachable Spark votes to multiple signal providers if you want to kind of hedge between which ones are the best. And in that scenario, you're getting all that Spark inflation that's coming into the network. So your purchasing power in Spark isn't necessarily being diluted like it would be in a, our normal fiat system when they print new money. The whole problem is if prices go up and you don't have more money to cover it now, that's where inflation's negatively affecting you. But on Flare, it's delivered to like all of us, like the citizens of the Flare network, and it's delivered for participating. So, it coming from, like XRP or Litecoin, like we don't do a lot of stuff with our XRP right now. Like, yeah, we can use it for payments, maybe transferring money between exchanges, giving stuff away to friends, like providing payment to content providers via Coil. But so we're very used to just holding our assets. Now, when you come onto Flare, you're going to need to be an active participant if you don't want your Spark holdings to be diluted over time. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be like checking in every single day to do that. You can basically just delegate your Spark votes and that'll just keep running over time. So it's not like, oh, I need to redelegate every day. So that's like the nice thing, but it's kind of like a passive participation essentially. So like once you have that Spark, go ahead and delegate votes to a signal provider. Your Spark's not leaving your wallet in that case. So it's risk-free yield, which, there's not a lot of risk-free yield out there. And especially in the early days, the yield is going to be, much higher than later on when there's more Spark that is participating. So it's just really nice to see that, like, you're going to get yield no matter what, pretty much, when you use your Spark, and it's risk-free. That's the best thing about the FTSO. So you're getting all that inflation delivered to you.
That's a good question. Good answer there. Let me just move back up here. Thank you, JK. Appreciate the super chat. All right, so I answered this question, but I only typed it. It's better if I answer it. Where was it? Whoops. Where is it? 10. XRP stays at $10. So I lost it. The chat moves too quick sometimes. No. You said something about the supply. All right, let's just move on to walled gardens. All right, so walled garden brings up, if you have to over-collateralize all these F assets, it seems like the Spark price would go up exponentially compared to each individual F asset because so much would be staked. So yeah, it's a good point. Now, they all might not be 2.5 times in the future. Like, as the market matures, and especially if Bitcoin's brought over, you don't necessarily need 2.5 times. Some might be just 2 times collateral. And as the system becomes more resilient, and it could update in real time, there's more deeper liquidity and more value in Spark, it could be 1.75 times. But I agree with you. Yeah, it does make Spark valuable. Its first use case, Spark is as collateral. That's its use case, as collateral, and then also as a governance vote and as an FTSO vote. So those are 3 use cases out the gate that every Spark token comes with. You can use as collateral, you get a governance vote with that, and you get an FTSO vote with that. 2 of those 3 things come with yield natively.
Yeah, and also
you could answer that with the value. I mean, how it's hard to value exactly, but
yeah, that's something we're looking into to see. Mm-hmm. But essentially, the more value that's brought onto the network, the more Spark is going to have to be locked in collateral, which is going to reduce the circulating supply and move the price up until it hits an equilibrium. And then, changes in the F asset values over time will, move the Spark price up or down based on its main use case being collateral. So I think also people should take into account, there's going to be some, I don't know, I would say around 25 to 30 billion Spark on the open market after 6 months through all the rewards pools, the FTSO inflation, and the airdrop to the XRP holders and Flare Limited team. So that's a pretty big supply. So just when you're thinking about, what could the price be of Spark, maybe end of year after it launches for 6 months. Just take into account that it's going to have a big supply, but in the long term, it's going to need that supply to accommodate all the DeFi use cases that are on the network. So, yeah, it's more like, you know, likened to how XRP or like XLM have been set up with supply. But, you know, with collateral being that main use case, that's going to lock up a lot of it. So that's one of the nice things. It's not going to be as high as it seems, but yeah.
So Young Z asks, so basically whoever delegate their votes would get Spark, right? Not the only people who delegate their votes to the signal provider, which provided the closest price one, right? All right, I'm not exactly sure what you mean there, but I'm going to try to answer this. So you delegate your vote to the signal provider. The signal providers provide the price feeds, and then they vote on those price feeds. Now, if your vote was part of one of the winning, within the winning price feeds and votes, then the rewards go directly to you. So they bypass going back to the signal provider and then to you. You get them automatically from the FTSO to your Spark wallet. I guess we should call it Spark wallet or Spark account. All right. I don't know if that answers the question. I wasn't exactly sure, but you could delegate to different signal providers and you could change them per day. And you could also set it up to auto delegate to where, okay, I have, say, 1,000 Spark tokens. So I have 1,000 votes. I'm going to put them with this signal provider. Now, the next day I might have, just hypothetically speaking, 1,050 Spark, right? Now I have 1,050 votes. So then that gets auto-delegated. The next day, I got 1,100 Spark. And now I auto-delegate those 1,100 votes. And that just keeps happening and compounding day after day after day after day. So that's why the daily compounding here is really important. That most of the things are done daily. The FTSO rewards, the F asset rewards are given to you on a daily basis. I mean, the FTSO might be multiple times a day or real time. We don't know. But F asset rewards in Spark are daily. So just for bringing your FXRP there, you get Spark dropped to you every day.
Nice. And I saw somebody earlier asked about what are the advantages and requirements of being an agent. So I'll start off with the advantages. As an agent, you're taking more risk because you have to manage a collateral position. And if you fail in doing so, you're going to be penalized heavily, probably to the tune of 40% of the Spark you have in collateral for a given position that defaults. And so, you know, that's a lot of risk to take on, but they are receiving the native version of F assets. Like, let's say somebody mints FXRP, you have to deliver your XRP to the agents and they'll custody that. Now, the other part of this is they need to be able to honor any redemptions of XRP at any given time when they're called upon. Otherwise, that's considered a default as well. So they're definitely going to have to keep a good amount on hand to do that in a timely manner. And additionally, though, with the XRP that they don't need to honor redemptions with at the time, they could go and use that in some way to earn yield. So they'll be getting creation fees and earning yield on the assets that they're custodying. Plus, they could still, you know, they could still be using their Spark, you know, FTSO votes and things like that. So those are the advantages of being an agent. Now on the requirements. So probably nobody in this chat, including me and Mickey, are going to be able to be agents. What we can do is stake our collateral with agents, you know, similar to how you're delegating your Spark FTSO vote with a signal provider. The reason behind this is, you know, they're going to have to put up a lot of collateral, which requires capital. They're also going to need technological sophistication, like machine learning and eventually AI, to analyze data and be able to do things in a really quick manner. And also they're going to need financial sophistication as far as hedging themselves, making sure they have the right amount of collateral waiting in the wing in case there's like a big event that happens that causes the price to move a ton. So all those things make it really hard for us as individual investors, like retail investors, to do. So I would the agent. Okay. So Corey asked, who are the agents? I would expect, you know, exchanges could be, we covered in a previous video, this firm called Delchain, which is hosted in the Bahamas. And they're like a custody provider. They provide market making for their clients, like high net worth individuals. and probably like some smaller institutions. So like they have financial background, they have capital, they have technical sophistication. So like those are the kind of people that will be participating as agents. Somebody else, maybe this isn't confirmed, but I could see as an agent is Pack Global. They run like their whole masternode thing. So they survey a lot of different blockchains. They're involved in Flare Network. We already know they're going to be a signal provider. And since they have all this data and they have capital, they would have the know-how and ability to do that. So Corey, hopefully that gives you a few, instances. And then Luke asked if we can pick our specific agent. TBD, I'm not entirely sure yet. I think it's possible. Maybe there's a way just to like stake with the F asset system on its own, but we're still kind of waiting for once they like release the final open source code and stuff to get like the rest of that piece. So
yeah, good question. That's a question I have is, are you going to be able to stake just in the F asset system, or do you actually have to relinquish? Well, you're relinquishing control of the Spark, right? And you're putting it in a system. Do I have the ability to pull it out whenever I want? Those are things that I think are important to know, and we don't have all the details yet on that. And one thing Hugo did say is it's not in custody by anybody once we delegate it, Patty. So that was like a good thing. So it's even if so it makes me think you're staking it more into the F asset system. The question is, how are you paid from those fees? So everyone's paying 5% to bring over their F assets. You got your Spark staked. Now you're earning a percentage of those fees based on your ratio of how much collateral you have versus everybody else in there. So we're waiting for more details on that. That's just a tough topic, and it's one we have a lot of questions on too, and we get a lot of questions on. So as Patty says, TBD on that.
Yeah, I know. That's like one of the most interesting parts still that we're waiting on. And the F asset system is definitely one of the more complicated components.
Yeah, and they use that generic word agent. I mean, agent can mean market maker. Agent can mean anything. Agent is just a very generic term for anything. So
think about it. It's basically some entity that's plugging into the smart contracts that are actually like managing the collateral, and they're just adding more collateral or withdrawing it for the most part to make sure that collateral ratio stays the same. So, I mean, think about it as some kind of entity interacting with the smart contracts that are custodying the assets on the Flare network. I think that could help with thinking about it.
Let me answer Edwin's question here. So I think we've really got to make this clear. This is just a very simple thing so everyone knows. To mint F assets, you do not, and I repeat, you do not need Spark. You don't use Spark. You don't need Spark yourself to mint F assets. If you have LTC, XLM, XRP, Doge, you don't need any Spark yourself to mint. You just mint and you pay 5%. That's it. Everyone else is putting up the Spark to earn a percentage of those fees. I just want everyone, that's a really important thing to like first step to understand is that you don't put up your own Spark. You don't need Spark to mint F assets. They're separate, but they're integrated on the back end. All right. So hopefully everyone understands that, Edwin. So you'll be able to mint F assets without Spark. All right. So that's a separate thing.
Cool. Denise
has confusing though.
Yeah, I see Denise has a funny question. She goes, what bothers me is why don't these signal providers just buy their own Spark? Why do they need ours? So actually they're doing us a favor. If they didn't let us delegate our Spark with them, we would never be, within the truncated percentage that the FTO decides is a good data estimate. Because they're basically providing a service and doing all the work for us, and we're getting paid for it. So when we delegate Spark to them, it increases their voting power, thus the likelihood that they end up within that truncated 50%. None of us would be able to provide accurate signals to the FTSO if we didn't have somebody with the technical know-how, all the data provisioning that some of these firms have to do it. So it's just a big task to take on for an individual. You would have to have algorithms that are running and updating, probably microseconds and pulling all the data from different exchanges, different data like data providers out there giving info about different blockchains, centralized exchanges, all kinds of different areas, which is just like something that we can't do unless you're like a tech whiz, but
you got to combine those two prices together. So it's not just like pulling an API from an exchange and saying, oh, this is close enough to the price. No, you got to compare Spark's price to XRP's price. And there might not be trading pairs to that, or Spark to XLM. There's not going to be a price feed for that. You need to, have the algorithms that can combine, Spark to USD and say LTC to USD to come up with Spark to LTC. So that's what they're doing for us. The question is how much commission rate they're going to take. I mean, we don't know. It could be 10%, it could be 5%, it could be 20%. Also, your F assets do come with FTSO votes too. They don't demand, you don't earn a reward from the FTSO from that, but they are valuable to the signal providers. So the more votes you could offer them, maybe you could get a discount on commissions if you also delegate your F asset votes. And just something there that might be, they might package different things together. They might just package, hey, just stake your old Spark with us and we'll do everything. So it depends on how they package it.
Cool. And I saw well, just one quick thing. So Denny, he said, will we get a list of signal providers? I just dropped a link in the chat, and we have on our website, the DeFi standard, a page for signal providers where we're just kind of, every time we see new ones being announced, adding a little blurb for them and with a link to like their website if it's up already, or their Twitter account. So if you want, you can start familiarizing yourself with the different signal providers. And as we get more information, like going forward, we'll start tracking all that stuff. So feel free to go on the website and check that out if you want to start looking into, who are these entities exactly.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the mods that are in here. Lantern, Josh, very helpful. Much appreciated, both of you. I know it's a lot trying to manage chat. I know Dale was in here earlier. Is he in here still?
He was, but
he
yeah.
Was. Yep.
He did the whole intro for us. So,
yes, so thank you, Dale, and thank you, Cynthia, for today's cool thumbnail with the samurai theme to it. Got a little Patty and a little Mickey over there. So that's the whole Flare Finance thing, is the samurai theme. I like that. So we got one more question about Gala being an F asset. So Gala is going to not be an F asset. It's going to be a native token on the Flare network, just like how, for example, how Uniswap is an ERC20 token. Gala will be a FLR20 or whatever they call it. I'm not sure they're going to call it that. It's going to use the same standards as Ethereum, most likely, but it will be on Flare. So it'll use the same smart contract standards that are already there for the Ethereum virtual machine. So it won't come with the daily rewards, but it will be a native asset. Like, it will just be on Flare. It'll be a DApp token. Somebody asked about Casino Coin moving on to Flare. Can that be an F asset? That would be interesting. What do you think of that?
As an F asset?
Yeah. I mean, would you bring it over?
I don't think that would happen.
I mean, it would have to get big enough, and it would have to be a governance vote. Remember, all these things are going to be up to governance. And somebody said earlier, I could just spam the voting. Well, you're not going to be able to spam the voting of the governance on the blockchain. So basically, you're going to have to, you get, for each Spark token, you get one vote, and there'll be different voting times. So you want to take this one from Buckeye G? We were talking.
Yeah, I was literally just about to type him a message. So Buckeye, great point. Delchain is a subsidiary of Deltec Bank, who is the custody provider for the fiat reserves of Tether. So we all know that, Tether is generally issued on Ethereum, and moving it around, the gas fees are really high. So, with this connection now here, where Delchain is going to be an active participant in the Flare network, I could see a possible future where some Tether starts getting issued on the Flare network, which I know people are sketchy about Tether. Regardless, it has one of the biggest trading pairs with BTC. So having stable coins really help perpetuate and move forward DeFi ecosystems. Like the whole MakerDAO system on Ethereum really helped propel DeFi because, you know, it gives you a stable unit of account for people to swap in and out of. So it's easy to keep your assets like directly on the blockchain. You don't need to cash out the fiat every time you don't want to be in an asset. So I'm really excited about that. And I hope that we see something where we're going to get like Tether issued on Flare. So then we would have 3 stable coins between Ore, Tether, and then the Cross USD stablecoin that's coming from the Flare finance team. So I think all that being added would be really helpful, especially in the beginning, you know, whenever it can get on. So JV says, Mickey and Patty, did you guys claim Spark through XRP Toolkit? Yes. So if you had it on a self-custody wallet, you can use the xrptoolkit.com as well as flare.weetsy.com. And that's Weetsy spelled like Weetsy Wynn's name from XRPL Labs. So I would use those 2 to claim, especially on Ledger Nano. The instructions are really straightforward and pretty easy to follow. And then if you have any more issues, I would definitely check out the Flare Telegram. They're really helpful with any kind of claiming stuff. Yeah, and remember, you have about a month left to claim. So 6/11 is the last day. So, and we're almost to 5/11. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, everyone should keep that in mind. We have about a month to go. So if you want to consolidate your ledgers or do anything like that, you know, in the next few weeks is now the time to do that. So Wall Garden brings up a good point here. And I want to talk about this for a second. He goes, are you guys planning on endorsing certain signal providers as you get info from them? Or would that be too unprofessional? So the one thing is, when I created this channel and everything, is I don't really like the idea of sponsors. You know, that's fine that other people do it. That's fine. But I don't want anything with crypto or that influencing our, you know, opinions or views. We want them to be as neutral as possible to help everyone. And if you're influenced by a certain sponsor or a signal provider, then you're more likely to, you know, not stay neutral in that way. And we want to be as neutral as possible when it comes to, you know, this technology, and especially new technology like this, and to help the community and everyone in the right way. When it comes to governance, though, that might be a little different. When it comes to governance voting, that's different. But when it comes to like actual profits and signal providers, I don't plan on having any sponsors on this channel. In that way, that's going to be crypto related. You know, if we no conflicts of interest. Never conflict of interest. It puts you in an uncomfortable spot, because then if you disagree with the signal provider, or, you know, then you're tied to him, and I don't want that. I want to be in that free, you know, feeling. That's what crypto's all about. So.
Yeah, like we may give our opinions on it at some point, but like me, I'm looking at using multiple signal providers, especially at the get-go. So we can kind of talk about when we get closer to launch, maybe do a video on like, what are we looking for in a signal provider? Like, you know, what makes me want to delegate my votes with them? I think we're a little early to do that, but as we get closer, we can definitely cover that. And we'll definitely be putting information about them on the website, so you can go and like check out their websites, see what they're offering. Like it's probably going to be an open marketplace between, like, you know, there may be a signal provider that's a little less successful than another one, but if they charge a less fee or give some kind of bonus on top of that, maybe they're more worth delegating to. So things like that will come up, and, you know, be a competitive market, which I really think is great for, you know, increasing like, or basically making better all the data provisioning going to the FTSO, and then making those like signal provider entities better too, because they're having to compete with others that are good at what they do.
Mm-hmm. And also exchanges are going to offer this too. I'm sure Bitrue already announced. Toho Labs said they're going to be a signal provider too. So it's going to be a pretty diverse marketplace. And for them to build different business models on top of this. So adding additional functionality, packaging things together, create different types of products, suiting different types of markets. So that's where I could see this going down the road. All right, we got a boatload of questions here. Wow, it's 3:30 almost already, Patty. So
honestly, I'm glad that we didn't really have a ton of topics today, so I'm glad you guys got questions. Yeah.
All right, so if Spark is always going to be more valuable than the assets, what incentivizes people to keep their assets rather than selling it for Spark? That would be great. I mean, I'm kind of confused what he's saying.
I don't think it's going to be more valuable than the assets.
Than the F assets, you mean?
Yeah. So like, if you're talking about on how much is one Spark token worth? Like,
There's
I
100
imagine
billion of them.
yeah, I think Litecoin's always going to have a higher per token price than Spark. You know, I would probably think so about XRP. Now, Stellar and Doge, those are up in the air for me. Just because I think more highly of XRP, and then Litecoin has a much lower market cap, so the price per coin is different. And it's really so when you think about like, so Spark has to be locked as collateral to mint these things, but it's just 2.5 times the value of it. So like if Spark's at 5 cents, it could still accommodate the value possibly, if not that much F asset values minted. You would just increase the amount of tokens that are, in the collateral. So it's 2.5 times the dollar value, not 2.5 times the token amount. So I think that's important differentiator there.
So yes, that's important too. And Naughty Sounds asked, do I need to create a Spark token in my MetaMask that I directed to my airdrop? So no, you don't create a Spark token in your MetaMask. Not that I'm aware of, because it's not an ERC20 token. It's the native token of the Flare network. So that's not how you do it, I don't believe.
Anthony Espinal, so he was asking how many YFin tokens are there and how to earn it. So that's a good question. We haven't talked about Flare Finance in a little bit.
11,000. So there's only 11,000 YFin. And the only way you could obtain YFin organically, like new YFin, is to liquidity mine it out of the Flare farm. So 4,000 can be liquidity mined out of the Flare farm in year 1. Then, after you acquire YFin, you could stake it in the governance pool in the Flare Finance ecosystem, which is part of the APY cloud, which will give you then guaranteed yield of 5 to 35% of that YFin. So that will help support its value, and it will then drive people to holding it because it comes with yield. So YFin is definitely a very interesting token. It's also the main governance token of Flare Finance. Now, we're going to be airdropped YFlare 1 month after Flare Network goes live. They'll take a snapshot of all your Spark. Doesn't matter what you have in allocation in the future, only what you have 4 weeks after the network goes live. Whatever Spark you earned, bought, or have then, and it's on a participating Flare Finance wallet or account, then you get a snapshot and you get a ratio. I think it's at 170 to 1 right now. So for every 170 Spark tokens you have, you get 1 YFlare. And there's 110 million YFlare, right? And 11,000 YFin. So
yeah,
you want to add on to that
sounds right.
YFin? It's very low supply, so it's going to have a very high price.
Yeah, so like Mickey was saying, it's the primary governance voting mechanism for Flare Finance, and then you're also going to be able to stake it in the governance staking pool to earn guaranteed yield. So Flare Finance is coming up with this yield aggregator mechanism to help out the ecosystem called the APY cloud that ensures that you are so at launch you get either 5% minimum APY or 35% as a maximum APY. So that's like one of the things you could use it in. And also due to the low supply, the price will probably be pretty high in the long term if Flare Finance is successful as a platform. So if you're getting YFin, I'd say you're making a bet on Flare Finance's whole ecosystem and suite of products being successful in the long term, as well as the Flare network. But you can go and look at the Yearn Finance token is it's last time I saw it was 40,000 or so. It may be much higher. I haven't looked at it in a little bit, but that's one with a really low supply. That's one of those main governance tokens for DeFi products on Ethereum. So that's something you could compare it to and see about that. But yeah, if you want to earn it, it's because you believe in what Flare Finance is doing for the long term, for sure.
Yeah, I would compare YFin along the lines of Compound, Aave, and Maker. If you look at those 3 tokens, they've all done really well. Those are the next wave of premium governance tokens. And they don't even necessarily come with the same kind of yield that's going to be built into YFin. But that's a good way to get an idea of what is to come on Flare. You really have to look, as much as Ethereum has its flaws, it is important to look there to see what DeFi has, how it has grown there, what it has developed to, and then try to apply that to the certain things that are being built on Flare. It's the best way to do it. Otherwise, you're really going in blind. So it's important to understand the DeFi ecosystem on Ethereum in the meantime, while we have this time, to understand then what's going to take place on Flare, and mixing in with your like XRP knowledge, you could see how it's going to be a little different. I think they'll do things, well, for example, right now, the code is not out for Flare. So the only people that are really able to build fully on Flare Network is if they were partnered with like the Flare team, or have some type of, I would say partnership or something with them. I mean, that's everything that's being built on there right now, even Flare Finance to that extent. Hey, welcome, Don. You made it. All right. Cool. You want to talk about the SEC thing before we wrap it up?
What was it about the SEC? Which thing about that? I was just going to
throw just what's going on with it.
You go. You start off then.
All right. So we all know they're bringing in these two big guns from Chicago to try to settle out the case, or fresh eyes on the case. So now they delayed that meeting for Gary Gensler. It was supposed to be Thursday. Then they delayed it till Friday. And then they delayed it again till next week. So I think there's definitely something going on here with the SEC definitely scrambling. Whoever wrote that last letter by the SEC, I think, went a little overboard, trying to say they would bring enforcement against the retail holders. So now there's pressure from three different spots here. You have the disclosure of the SEC and all their internal documents about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and their external communications with exchanges and others. So there's pressure, smoking guns coming out of there. You have pressure from John Deaton in the XRP community coming in here as well. And that's really rattled them. And then you have what's taking place pretty much from Congress, putting pressure, like even Warren Davis said, on Gensler and this new chairman there, and they're losing kind of the fight. So do they want to go down this road? And Gensler's talking about regulating exchanges. I'm sorry, but did he realize he's at the SEC and not the CFTC anymore? Because the SEC regulates equities exchanges and securities exchanges. So if Bitcoin's a commodity like he called it, then why would they regulate Bitcoin trading, right, Patty? I just find that odd.
I mean,
why
to me,
about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. At this point, the most favorable, thing for them is to come up with some kind of settlement. Now, Ripple's not going to do any settlements that force them to give up information or documentation or report to the SEC all the time. So unless the SEC is willing to come down on what they wanted Ripple to do, I don't know how they're going to be able to settle. But this thing just keeps getting worse and worse for them as time goes on. And with them bringing those senior level litigators down to, kind of discuss what's happening. Maybe we'll see some more open talks about settlement after they've been closed. I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely, an interesting occurrence. They're doing that. I don't think Gensler wants to be the one to decide, hey, we're going to drop this case. I think he'd rather just be I came in, I got advice from the people that are working here already, and they have said that this should be our course of action, and that's what would lead to it. But I think Gensler's trying to stay out of it as much as he can, because it's getting very messy now. And with him being a new the new whatever chairman, he doesn't want to come in and immediately be, thrown in all this turmoil and possibly affect his entire, tenure as the SEC chairman. So,
yeah, I agree with you on that. I think we'll leave it at that. Let's answer 50KT's question here. We started off the chat with this, and we'll finish off with it. Can you comment? Oh, you know what? You could answer it since I answered it the first time. Can you comment on the changed XRP circulating supply on CoinmarketCrap? Is it Binance's shenanigans?
Yeah, so it's 100% shenanigans. We already see other providers like this, like CoinGecko still has it at 46 billion circulating supply. XRPL Charts has it at a 46 billion circulating supply. We know CoinMarketCrap has done this in the past in the last bull run, where they were limiting Korean exchange volume regarding XRP when it was starting to take off. Additionally, they don't count the escrow as the supply in the market cap calculation, yet they have a wrapped BTC market cap, and they count that into the Bitcoin market cap. So to me, they're owned by Binance. Like, Binance and XRP are battling for the number 3 spot. So I just think there's a lot of conflicts of interest, and there's other providers out here. I don't like how CoinmarketCap is the end all be all, just with, they've done a lot of stuff over the years. So, and I know people are theorizing that it's a settlement. It's not the settlement. They're not giving up 10 billion XRP in a settlement when the case is going in their favor heavily right now. There's really no reason why they would do that. And if they did do that, I think it would do really poorly for the XRP price personally.
Yeah, and they don't
so
have 10
it's
billion
not settlement. It's definitely not being used as settlement.
No, that's not really part of it. Last question. This is a good one about the IOUs. We don't talk about this that much. Dark Side of the Moon, Mickey Patty, do we know how Bitrue Poloniex came up with how many IOUs to sell on the market? Did they calculate their XRP holdings and estimate the drop they'll be getting? Yeah, I would assume the IOUs are people who are selling them. So if you had like Poloniex is different. Poloniex is the whole allocation, and Bitrue's is just the 15%. So Bitrue's IOU, if you buy it, you only get, that's just for that initial 15% drop. If you buy PolonieX's IOU, it's the whole allocation. So you only get 15% of that at launch. So that's why there's a big price difference there. And it's important. And this is why it's the whole claim. Just look at the IOUs on Poloniex. They're selling the whole claim. So if you bought an IOU on Poloniex, you have the rights and ownership to that whole claim for 2 years plus, the whole 100%. So you don't know what they're doing with the IOUs, though. To be honest with you, Dark Side of the Moon, they could be manipulating those things, making more up. Who knows? They're not attached to the blockchain. You got to trust that exchange, that they're honor those IOUs. When you deal with an exchange, you're trusting them. So that's the balance between like self-custody and dealing with exchanges. So with apps being built more on network, public networks and DeFi applications, you don't have to trust the exchanges. And with Flare X, with Flare Finance, all the trading going between Spark, XRP, FXRP, like FLTC, YFlare, YFin, you could do all that right on Flare X. You won't even have to use the exchanges to swap between assets. You do it right from your wallet. Just swap, just like in MetaMask you do with Uniswap. You'll be able to do that right on Flare X with whatever Web3 designed wallet they come out with. Don't be surprised if like Interledger is tied in with that, which I have a really good feeling, but we don't know for sure. Toho Labs is building it. And everyone should check out toholabs.com. There's a lot of information that answers a lot of questions that were asked today.
Yeah.
All right.
I see people still want to battle about the 10 billion XRP thing.
I'm
going to die on that hill. So, I'll come on here and say I will come on here and say I'm an idiot and that I'm wrong if it turns out that that's for settlement. And I'll probably be looking to sell my XRP if that happens. So there you go.
No, we don't only have 35 billion. Listen, the CoinmarketCap shows 35 billion. That doesn't mean we only have 35 billion in circulating supply. That's just what CoinmarketCap is saying. Every other one I've checked.
Yeah, I don't trust CoinmarketCap.
That's the right Proton XRP. When I first saw his name, I thought he was a lady too. But
I mean, I am speaking though.
Yeah, well, that is true. You are speaking. You should have known that, Proton.
I mean, maybe I have a high pitched voice. I don't know.
Nah, I think it's pretty obvious. All right, I think on that note, we're gonna end the stream. I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
I'm PattyXRP.
And we're out.
Dude,